I'm so happy to see all of you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. From, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. I've got a bad throat, I'll still try. I have two mics given in front of me. I've never seen more redundant objects in my life. They're not taking any chances. Sudhaji, my dear friend Sanjay Pinto, my dear friend M.R. Venkatesh, to whom I can never say no. He's missing me too, and I'm missing you on TV, M.R. It's really, really, really nice and heartwarming today to be among you. But I'm a little perplexed. On the one side, you say you miss me, and then you put up a subject saying, how tolerant are we? With my picture on it. In the age of double meaning, I don't know what to make of this. But I missed you too. Every night I miss you. During Jallikattu, missed you. When Jayalalitha passed away, at that time I missed you. When this drama of Shashikala happened. And when some anchors were trying to be politically correct, because that's the new fashion, you're politically correct, I missed you. When Suresh Kalmadi almost became president of the IOA again 6 weeks after I quit, I missed you. I wanted to go on the streets and scream again. When Masara Talam got released in Kashmir, a known terrorist, a defender of Pakistan, and nobody said a word, I missed you then. When 30 women got groped on New Year's Eve in MG Road, in Bengaluru and in Kamanahalli, and when at that point of time, instead of focusing on what was happening in Bengaluru, the national media reported with ruthless detail the jugalbandi between Akhilesh and Mulayam for 3 weeks, not talking about what happened in Bengaluru, then I missed you. I wanted to come back, but I don't have a satellite yet, and my studio is not ready. But you want the breaking news, Sanjay. You call your cable operator after this, okay? We're coming back in 2 months. And Republic is not just India's first independent news venture. It is not just the first defining step of India's global news venture, which it will be with your blessings and our combined work. Republic is not just a news channel for me. It is not just a .com. Republic is now a people's movement. And it is our movement. But today, as I speak to you, I want to say more. I want to tell you more. I want to tell you about what we are on the cusp of, what we are going to do as we leap into the future. I want to tell you about what Republic is about. I've been a journalist 21 years. I walked up the staircase of NDTV 21 years back. I was taken to a small room in solitary confinement. In a very deep voice, someone told me, remember, son, remember, never express your opinion. Something went wrong. Last 10 years have been magnificent. Every day I get hate tweets from across the political spectrum. I've had threats. So many people have said, we will make you lose your job, you will be on the streets. Arnab, it will be worth nothing for you at the end, for you. It will be worth nothing for you at the end. They've been calling me, some crazy people call me a Congress supporter. Some people call me a Sanghi. Some call me a BJP supporter. Nobody now calls me a Subramaniam Swami supporter. I'm not talking of Mr. Swami himself. Some people say he's a right-winger. The list goes on. Today, I want to explore before you a question which will define what kind of journalism I do and what kind of journalism I truly believe in, and that question actually is in that. How tolerant are we? And I want to talk about my profession. And I will put 6 questions before you today. And at the end of it, we'll have a conversation on the subject. Question 1, how tolerant are we? And I will elucidate each one with examples before you today. To raise a principal question, at the end of this conversation, we'll talk about what the future of Indian journalism should be. What we are doing right, what we have done terribly wrong, and what we need to change and change immediately. And from that, I will soak the answers, and then we will go, and together we will launch Republic 2 months from now. My first question to you is this. Why are the tolerant so intolerant? And can we tolerate it any longer in this republic? Those people who say we are the tolerant, we preach tolerance, we talk about tolerance. Why are they so intolerant in turn? Let me give you example number 1, if I may. There's a documentary called India's Daughter by Leslie Adwin, which was put out about 2 years back. The inexplicable intolerance of the inexplicable tolerance of the intolerable by some part of the media. Let me lay before you the facts. 3rd March 2015, exactly 795 days, that is 2 years, 2 months and 4 days after Nirbhaya's death. That's the timing. What was the story in its own words? A British documentary filmmaker, Leslie Adwin, makes a documentary on Nirbhaya's rape, which included in great detail, for some salacious reason, a detailed interview with the rapist in plain clothes a month after the Indian courts convicted him of death. The starting point was a story which we picked up from The Guardian on 3rd March 2015. The irony was that the self-proclaimed tolerant and liberal media brigade in Lutyens, Delhi, were willing to give a prime-time slot to the rapist on national and global television. I still remember the words of the rapist Mukesh Singh. They seep and ring in my ears, and it is here before me. Mukesh Singh, the rapist, says, and this is what the channel was fighting for in the name of liberal media and freedom of expression. Mukesh Singh says, the rapist says, you cannot clap with one hand. It takes 2 hands. A decent girl won't roam around at night. A girl is more responsible for rape than a boy. About 20% of girls are good. She should just be silent and allow the rape. Then they would have dropped her off after doing her and only hit the boy. And I sat in a newsroom for a moment, trying to rationalize how we have reached such levels of tolerance so as to tolerate a rapist's description of rape on national and global television. And if this is what BBC teaches as good journalism, I don't want to learn anything from them. The hypocrisy is this, and I'll take this discussion forward, that the same British media that positioned itself as though it was leading the women's movement in India by simply propping up its cameras through the candlelight vigils and protests around Nirbhaya's brutal rape in December 2012 became the very platform that allowed the broadcast of that rapist on its TV screen, and then grew growingly intolerant when I questioned why the media in this republic should give a platform for a rapist, for a stage to broadcast his brute and bestial mindset. So my first question on the issue today, how tolerant are we, is this. Let me give a second example. And I really want to do some plain speaking today, because I've not been given the chance for 2.5 months. So you are my unsuspecting victims. So I wrote down these examples and I said, let me start a conversation, because this country is not having a conversation for a few months. Something has gone terribly wrong. It's like we are a country of politically correct people, saying the right thing, observing the right thing. Anyway, on 18th September 2016, 7 months, 9 days, that is 222 days after the liberals in India were outraged that our team, when I was with Times Now, spoke against the anti-India slogans that were chanted like an anthem in the campus of Jawaharlal Nehru University, something happened. For me, as Sudha said clearly, there is a right and wrong. There is a white and black. There is a truth and untruth. There is falsehood and there is truth. There is reality and fiction. There is no gray area there. We cannot alternate between the two. What was embedded in my experience of the hypocrisy of the liberal lobby shone right through this country and the rest of the world on 18 September 2016, when 19 of our Jawans were martyred in Uri. There were no protests. There was no candlelight vigil. There was no petition. JNU was quiet. Kanhaiya disappeared. He was nowhere to be seen. There was no championing of causes. The hypocrisy is this, that the same lobby that pretends in their own convenient way, of course, to be the torchbearers of our national interest in the 21st century under the garb of freedom of expression, to be torchbearers of where the country should go or not go, these are the people who were absolutely silent when 19 of our martyrs died in Uri. Which is my first question. We start this conversation today on this subject. Why are the tolerant so intolerant, and can we tolerate it any longer in this republic? My second question is this. Should there be tolerance in this republic for those who run down our country? It's a very simple and straightforward question. We all stood for the national anthem right before this. Which direction, I say, is our tolerance headed? That is the focal question this evening. Should we become so tolerant in the garb of becoming a liberal society? What people say is an open society. Should we become so tolerant that we begin to grow immune to everything that goes against India's national interest? Last year, there was a bizarre debate. A bizarre debate broke up when JNU happened. Everything was suddenly about, can I run down my country and be considered to be a liberal? What was my education for? Why am I educated? Why did I go to a foreign university? Why am I in JNU if I cannot have my own opinion on whether India should break up or not? I mean, if your position is so infantile that the only way to provoke people is to demand the secession of India, then you should go back to kindergarten. But the point is not that. The point is, I recall being in the studio as the headlines were flying past last year, trying to wrap my head around how not standing up for the flag or not standing up for the national anthem had suddenly in India in February 2016 become some kind of a fashion statement for a particular faction. And while I make my position clear, it was only a matter of time that I saw a pattern to it. There is a pattern to it. The fact is, there is a thread of tolerance for those who oppose standing up for the flag. But those who say it's okay to make a fashion statement and sit while the national anthem is playing is exactly the same lobby that clamors and fights and demands mercy for Yaqub Memon. Should I be blind to it? Sanjay says, connect the dots. I'm connecting the dots. And the reality is this. And I'm asking a question. Is tolerance in India defined as supporting the likes of Yaqub Memon and keeping quiet about the celebration of our flag or our national anthem? This is a question I think we must ask now. Is it liberal and tolerant that a convicted terrorist is labeled innocent and the lives of 257 people who died in the 1993 attacks takes a backseat to the human rights of Yaqub Memon? Is it liberal and tolerant that a man labeled the architect of the worst terror attacks in India is projected like a face of victimhood and persecution? And if it is liberal, and if it is tolerant, then why is it not liberal and a burning degree of saying that we will not tolerate talks with Pakistan till they stop killing our soldiers? Why is it not liberal to call Maoists out on their violence? Why is it not liberal to question the selective hypocrisy of those returning their awards? And why is it not liberal to question someone who refuses to stand up for the national anthem? I asked the counter questions. We want the counter questions, which takes me to question number 3. And question number 3 on the same subject. The point this evening is this: should there be a prolonged tolerance for duplicity on tolerance? Let me explain it. What are we here to discuss today? The point this evening is of duplicity and bowing down to duplicity. The point this evening is of our combined intolerance for hypocrisy. The point this evening is about the residing collective apathy to selective action, selective outrage, and selective intolerance. The point, therefore, as Sudha rightly pointed out, is about perpetually and dangerously being tolerant to living in a perpetual state of grey. Now let me tell you, I'm talking to you in Tamil Nadu. I will now elucidate my argument with points. My point is this. I have 3 questions. Question number 1, Jallikattu versus Greenpeace. Let's deal with the issues one by one. On January 12th, 2017, the Supreme Court rejected a plea by a group of lawyers seeking an urgent ruling on a clutch of petitions on Jallikattu so that the sport can be organized during this year's celebrations. My question is this, and think about it. Why is it that those who question Jallikattu are the same people, are the exact same people? Connect the dots, Sanjay. They are the same people who refused to question Greenpeace when in April 2015 it came to the fore, according to official records, that this environmental NGO had run into a plethora of FCRA violations. Connect the dots. My job as a journalist is to connect the dots. We're not doing it for the last 3 months. We're not reading the motives. We are not seeing the truth. We're reporting things in black and white, and absolutely correct. If the job of a reporter is to just chronicle events, then he should not become a reporter. He should stand in a court and write down exactly every judgment as it is passed. My question is this. Let's go on Jallikattu versus Greenpeace. Why is it that in April 2015, when my group of journalists had put out in the public domain official documents showing that the intelligence agencies of India had reasons to believe that Greenpeace was not working only against India's economic interest, but also had its accounts frozen and license deregistered on the basis of documents that proved that this foreign-funded NGO indulged in several FCRA violations, why, ladies and gentlemen, was there a muteness by those who positioned themselves as tolerant and liberal? All those people who spoke about it, not one of them said that Greenpeace was breaking the rules. These are the same people who took a position on Jallikattu. I see a motive there. And why is it that those who stand for the environmental good that Greenpeace supposedly is doing in India are completely quiet about the nuclear installations in the rest of the world? Why have we become so immune to allowing those self-proclaimed, quote-unquote, liberals of this country to become torchbearers of those who oppose India's national interest? These are questions which we have not asked. Now let me go further into detail. My question is the duplicity on tolerance. Question number 2, the Salman Rushdie ban. Example number 2, the Salman Rushdie ban versus the Taslima ban. In November 2015, a senior member of the Congress party by the name of P. Chidambaram, I'm not mentioning the other senior member, he strolled out suddenly and he had a revelation. He said that the ban on Salman Rushdie's satanic verses was a mistake. You remember that? This fantastic acknowledgement by Chidambaram, 27 years after the book was banned, during the Rajiv Gandhi government. Salman Rushdie then tweeted by saying, and I quote him, "How many more years before the ban is corrected?" Unquote. Relevant question, ladies and gentlemen. But tell me, how many people stood up for Taslima Nasreen in Hyderabad in 2007? When Asaduddin Owaisi's All India MIM attacked her with bricks at a book release function. Where was the media then? Where was this liberal media when a woman called Taslima Nasreen was being physically attacked and assaulted in Hyderabad by a party whose leader stands up in Parliament, Owaisi, and says that I am a Democrat and I am a liberal? None of them, none of these, the liberal media hid its necks like ostriches at that point of time. Nobody spoke a word. How many people stood up for Taslima when 20 hoodlums of the All India MIM, led by an elected MLA, physically attacked her in a press club in Hyderabad? Was it tolerant of secularism not to take to the streets then? Questions we must ask. Example number 3. Vishwarupam versus national interest. And if you think you have to give me security as I go out, it's fine, but I'll say what I want to. Should I speak as I feel? Or should I think that because the gentleman is shooting everything, it's going to go on YouTube and somebody is going to misunderstand and retweet this, put me in controversy? Should I pull back? Should I say what I think? Okay. Might as well say it. No, I don't have any bodyguards. I have no security. You are my security. Vishwarupam versus national interest. And I want somebody on the other side to debate with me today. Anyone? In January 2013, some faction Islamic organization asked for the Kamal Hassan starrer Vishwarupam to be screened to them first, as if we don't have enough sanskari censor babas in this country. I really will need security today, I think. They said they were concerned about the depiction of the community. Understood. The government of this very state, ladies and gentlemen, buckled and put the film on hold for 15 days and later banned the film release momentarily in the state despite it being cleared by the CBFC. My question is this: isn't there an open and clear duplicity, not just in factions of pseudo-liberals in India, but also in selectively by the elected representatives of our governments to buckle for the sake of appeasing a particular faction? When will this appeasement end? I ask, why should a state be brought down to its knees and buckle and negotiate with irrelevant factions whose only existence breathes on the resolve to divide our country on various lines? I say don't compromise with them. Then why is that appeasement continuing? Question number 4, Yasin Malik and the Hurriyat versus Army. On February 13th, 1992, Yasin Malik was arrested in Delhi on charges that he received lots of cash from Pakistan's ISI for promoting terrorist organizations in the Kashmir Valley. They recovered 4.5 lakh from his possession. They were charge-sheeted by the CBI. It was alleged that during 1985 to 1992, Malik conspired with 4 other accused from different terrorist outfits for aiding and abetting terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir. And yet today, there seems to be a lobby portraying Yasin Malik as the messiah of the Kashmiri people. I ask why? Why are these the same people who fight for the freedom of Yasin Malik The same people who went quiet when Uri, Baramulla, and Pathankot happened later this year. Think of the examples that I am giving you. Jallikattu, Greenpeace, Rashti, Taslima, Vishwarupam, National Interest, Yasin Malik, Hurriyat, Yaqub Memon. It will appear to you if you just sweep through these names, it will appear to you there's no link between them. But what I'm saying is there is a clear link between them. Question number 4. Why was there a prolonged tolerance in this country for corruption? And why did we make Manmohan Singh the paragon, the centerpiece, and the poster boy of clean government in India? He was anything but. Anything but. My journalism is very clear. Plain vanilla journalism has no scheme in my place of things. Journalism is meant to be an inquisition. If we need to believe in journalism of impact, then we must also believe that such impact is possible only if you confront authority. In other words, tolerance should not be a tool for you to tolerate the wrongs. Question is this. On February 16, 2011, I had a great moment in my career. I went inside 7 Racecourse Road for the first time in my life. I had left Delhi as some kind of an evolved cub reporter. The people of India backed me, life was good, and I returned as an editor who got an invitation to 7 Racecourse Road. And it was a big event. In fact, it was breaking news because Manmohan Singh had decided to speak. It's such fun. I was very nervous as I was going in, and I said, what am I going to do? And I called everybody, my political reporter, political editor, everybody, kya karu? I'm really tense. They said, what's your problem? They said, I said, there's one shot at a question you get in a Prime Minister's live press conference. They said, you should try to be number 1 or number 2 in the sequence, then you get to ask the question. Unfortunately, I was number 14 out of 15 editors. I don't know why, and I had my personal set of bodyguards entering. 6 months before that, we were part of the biggest campaign against corruption, CWG, 2G, Aircel Maxis, Devas ISRO, Adarsh, Kargil for Profit. We'd been through an amazing 6 months before that. The country was talking about corruption. Every morning, day and night, it was corruption. Documents were coming at my door. We were discussing, debating. I was so disappointed. I was questioned. I was editor number 14. And I sat there waiting for my turn. While the whole country was speaking about corruption, not one editor asked the Prime Minister a single question about corruption before my turn came. This was the coziest club I had seen. This was the bar of Delhi Gymkhana which had come right into 7 Racecourse Road. I'm not saying Manmohan Singh was drinking. But the bottom line is this. My jaw dropped when editor number 12 asked the Prime Minister of India, Sir, what is your message for Sachin Tendulkar? I'm not making it up. Go back and check. There was a serious question asked, what is your message for Sachin Tendulkar? Because he scored some double century before that. And when my turn came, I asked the Prime Minister a question. I have that question before me. It was the Devas ISRO scam. It was this question. The Prime Minister turned around. I asked 3 questions on the Devas ISRO scam. Harish Khare, the press advisor, stopped me. The Prime Minister spoke about the famous compulsions of coalition politics. And I asked the Prime Minister that, Mr. Prime Minister, you have to make compromises. Even if you say you have to make compromises, there cannot be any compromise with corruption. And that cannot be a compromise even if you are running a coalition government. And sometimes when corruption happens right under your nose, Mr. Prime Minister, you must speak. And I had every ethical right to ask that question. Before 6 or 8 months before that, I had staked my career, my life, my profession, my professional responsibilities. Day and night, we were doggedly pursuing every aspect of corruption. We pursued the CWG. We exposed the organizing committee of the Commonwealth Games of Suresh Kalmadi, which was inflating rates. We were exposing Shashi Tharoor in IPL 1. This is much before Lalit Gate happened, so I felt very passionate about it. But when I asked the Prime Minister a question, there was no reply. Much of the media went out and then spoke about how the Prime Minister had snubbed a reporter rather than asking about the question which I had asked. I had never felt more lonely and more empowered than I felt that day in February 2011. That experience singes my heart. I want to de-Lutyanize journalism. There is no place in the world which has compromised journalism as much as Lutyens' Delhi. And if there is one reason we are launching Republic TV, it is only this reason, that this country deserves a better media than Delhi Gymkhana media. Ask yourself, after Chitra Subramaniam and Bofors 1989, 1990, right up to 2010, May 31st CWG scam, was there no corruption in India? What were all the newspaper owners and editors doing for those 60 years of our independence? They have no right to teach me journalism anymore. I have broken away. I don't believe in their rules. I will break their rules. I will reach the people. I will destroy that very decrepit institutions of print journalism that have existed in Delhi. And if they want to pass a comment on me, my flavor, my style, or the amplitude of my voice, they are welcome to, because I have seen through them. My next question is this, which is question number 5. And the moment, Sudhaji, you want me to stop, tell me to stop. I have a capacity to go on for a long time. I'll carry on for 2-3 hours, but whenever you feel I'm crossing the time limit, please stop me. Can I continue with 2 or 3 examples, please? When I'm beginning to bore you, tell me. Thank you, sir. Republic wants to know, sir. Republic. The Republic wants to know, sir. The Republic wants to know, is there any place in this Republic, which is question number 5 today, is there any place in Republic for tolerance, for letting prejudice pass off as tradition? Let me explain this to you. I began my career in 1996. I was in my early 20s, straight out of college. I was very, very excited about journalism. I was given a U-matic camera, and I was sent to cover a story in Sabrimalai. And I took the camera, and I trudged up without slippers, barefoot up Sabrimalai, with my camera person who told me, Arnab, you want to learn journalism, first learn to carry a camera. I went up. The story was very interesting. There was a district magistrate in Patinamthitta, which is the district in Sabrimalai. She wanted to inspect what was happening inside Sabrimalai, because she said, if there's a stampede, if there's problems, what are the administrative arrangements? She'd done some great work, but this district magistrate was not allowed to visit the shrine. And she had taken this up. And I found it a fascinating story of misogyny and discrimination against women, where a senior IAS officer was not being allowed to inspect her own arrangements in Sabrimalai shrine. I did a 2-minute story. Nobody noticed. Absolutely nobody noticed. I came back. It was an instruction for me in what was going wrong in journalism. Now pass it 20 years later. 20 years later, I'm told a 28-year-old woman is lying on the road with another group of women. In busloads they have come. It's Shani Shignapur shrine in Maharashtra. This woman is lying on the road and refusing to get up and saying that why would a woman not be allowed to enter the Shani Shignapur shrine in Maharashtra? Why does a shrine become impure? Similarly, on a parallel note, a campaign started for letting women enter Sabrimalai. Now I know many of you may have different perspectives on it, but I ask these questions because these questions need to be asked. In Haji Ali, 11 women were protesting outside the shrine because it was told that women cannot be allowed inside the Haji Ali shrine in Mumbai. We did a campaign called the Right to Pray campaign. I don't know if you noticed what happened in the Right to Pray campaign. It started in November 2015, the first day of Sabrimalai and the first day of Haji Ali. 286 days after we picked up the right to pray in the context of Sabrimalai, the Haji Ali Dargah Trust allowed women equal access to the sanctum sanctorum of the shrine as men. It had denied women post-2012. This marked the culmination of a relentless campaign that began 1 year earlier on the part of Hindu and Muslim women to access the sanctum sanctorum of the shrines of Sabrimalai, Shani Shignapur, and Haji Ali. The guiding light of this campaign was our fundamental right to equality under Article 14, prohibition from discrimination under Article 15, and the right to life and liberty under Article 21, which should take precedence over the right of any religious institution or any religious group to manage its own affairs, especially if these practices violate an individual's fundamental rights. It was disruption. This is disruption. It is disruption from media and society against discriminatory practices which are passed off as tradition, which led to a change vis-a-vis Shani Shignapur and Haji Ali, and I really hope that this continues in the future. Now, in this country of 1.3 billion people, I take pride today to say that our laws are not perfect. Last year, I openly came out and started campaigning for a uniform civil code in India. I am not a right-winger. For 70 years, we were told that if you ask for a uniform civil code in India, you become a right-winger. I find it unacceptable. We are tolerant of a law that allows for a Muslim man to WhatsApp or post his divorce to his wife simply by saying talaq 3 times. So you put talaq 3 times on WhatsApp and you can divorce your wife. We are tolerant of a system, and we consider it to be secular and tolerant. And we are considered to be liberal if we allow a system which does not allow one law for one India. We are tolerant of a system that opposes what is encoded in Article 44 of the Directive Principles of India. We are tolerant of there being a legal sanction for imprisonment for 10 years under Section 377, a law that passes a legal judgment depending on what you may be doing within the confines of your public space. I have openly been against triple talaq. I'm openly for a uniform civil code. I ask you, am I a right-winger in doing so? Should I not ask whether laws which divide India should be allowed or whether laws should unite India? Why should this republic tolerate and hesitate and hiccup to bring one law for all Indians? One law for all Indians, irrespective of their religious faiths or what they do as consenting adults within the privacy of their own home. And if the idea of India in its 70th year is to broadcast a united India, then what place in a united India is there place for triple talaq, an opposition to the Uniform Civil Code, or standing up against the LGBT community have? More importantly, and these fundamental questions must be asked, where are the lobbies that protested because Bharat ko tukre tukre kar denge slogans were shut down? Where are those lobbies when there is an issue at hand to fight for the unity of India legally? I want to know today why. Why the lobbies that proudly proclaim that an expression of freedom of expression is to stand up and say we will destroy India bit by bit, and then claim in public forums that our shout to divide and break up India is an expression of our freedom of expression, then I want to have an example of the same freedom of expression. I want the same people to stand up and say, you cannot divorce your wife on WhatsApp by saying talaq, talaq, talaq 3 times. I want that political correctness to end. Where are the campaigns? Where are the petitions? And where are the candlelight marches? Now, I've been called a lot of things. And I want you to define what I am today. A lot of things have been said. A lot of people have tried to bracket me, put me in a box, to label me, because I don't think of every alphabet before I speak my words. I want to ask you today, I stand for a uniform civil code. Does that make me a right-winger? I stand up for the national anthem and will always speak in support of the Indian Army. Does that make me a Sanghi? I will fight till the LGBT community in India seeks justice and the state stops interfering in their personal and private choices. What does that make me? I am against a legal sanction under the garb of religion for men to WhatsApp divorce to their wives on their whims. Does that make me anti-secular? I don't believe in there being gender discrimination anywhere, even if the oldest religious text tells you to do so in whatever religion that is. Does that make me anti-religion? I believe in free markets, and I believe in calling out the hypocrisy of using the garb of foreign funding, American funding, to undertake FCRA violations. What does that make me? And I believe also in calling out polarization by Hindu groups and Muslim groups and Christian groups and every other group, even in thought. What does that make me? That makes me part of this republic. A republic that my team is going to launch for you. You who don't want to be bracketed. You who simply want to see a right and a wrong, and who have the courage to fight only and unhesitatingly for the right. And no, believe me, this is not a leaning. This is black and white. And together, you and I will drive, pave, and create this unimaginable change through Republic. That is my promise today, and that is my promise to you. Thank you very much for listening to me. In 2 months, people have said, on what basis are you setting up a news channel? And I'm saying this to you today. We're setting up a news channel, a movement, on the basis of your love, your hope, your criticism, your affection, your bouquets, your brickbats, and your viewership. Thank you very much for calling me here today and letting me speak among you. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.